All right, we are live, baby. Welcome aboard to a first ever special edition of what we're calling UCF Rewind here. We're trying this for the first time. We will see how it goes. My name is Jeff Sharon from Black and Gold Banneret, and joining me on this special rewatch of the 2017 UCF versus USF football game, we have Brian Murphy. We have Andrew Gluchoff up at the top of your screen, Anthony Lenahan, and Jeremy Brenner at the bottom of your screen. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us tonight for this, look back, trip down memory lane. We saw some people fooling around with this kind of stuff with WrestleMania, and, we're all bored on a Sunday night. Happy Easter to everyone, by the way. Murph, I'll start with you. I don't know what now almost 2.5 years after all that we've seen from this. This was, this game, UCF 49, USF 42 in 2017. UCF came in at 10-0, USF at 9-1. This was the big coming out party, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, but I think more importantly, you talk about this game, you talk about possibly the best college football game of 2017. In my estimation, the most entertaining UCF football game ever. And in terms of how much it meant to the program, it's almost inquantifiable because of not only the undefeated season, but beating your rival to win the division, which then obviously got you into the championship game. I mean, everything that was on the line here. And the team you're facing, and then the atmosphere, the national broadcast, ABC. This is probably. I know there's an argument. For me, it's the best UCF football game ever.
Let me go to each of you guys. Murph, I know you were in the press box, right?
Yes.
Andrew, where were you to watch this game?
I was down in Fort Lauderdale and celebrating Thanksgiving. And the way we set it up is if UCF plays in Orlando, we go to my mother-in-law's down in Fort Lauderdale. If they're playing in Tampa, we stay in my neck of the woods in Bradenton. And we do it based strictly on where that game is. And while I wasn't allowed to go to the game, I did have the unique perspective of actually covering the enemy that year for another publication. And it gave me a very unique perspective going into that game. And the fact I had to pick my jaw up off the floor at how well USF ended up playing that game, which I didn't see coming based on the experience I had already during that season.
Jeremy Brenner, where were you when you saw this game?
Oh, I wasn't born yet, Jeff. Remember?
Stop it. Stop making us feel old. God, you kids, man. Unbelievable.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah.
No, I actually had something to do on Black Friday. I was volunteering somewhere, and then I came back home. I was trying to go to the game because I got the student ticket, but it was too late for me to go, so I just watched it at home. I actually had to do a story that day for the school media, and I met these people that had gone to the game afterwards at a restaurant nearby. I went to toast it. So that's where I was. It's very anticlimactic. It's not really that exciting, but yeah.
Last but not least, Anthony Lenahan, I know you're up in upstate New York. Where were you for this game?
I was actually at the game. I was in the student section. Not a student, but I was in the student section.
This was before you, or this was right. When did you found Power 6 Analytics? I can't remember that.
The off season of this off season. So when Frost was leaving and Heibel was coming in.
Gotcha. All right. Before we get started, just a couple quick reminders. Make sure that if you don't already, hit us up at blackandgoldbanneret.com. We are SB Nation's home for UCF sports. And you can find all five of us writing stuff there. Also, Elo is going to be joining us in a little bit. Jeff Gardner's here. I know he was asking for Elo. Also, if you don't already, follow us on Twitter at UCF_Banneret. We'll also be posting our own Twitter handles here in the chat here as the time goes by. And if you're on Facebook, hit us up at facebook.com/Black and Gold Banneret. Okay, let's see if I know what I'm doing here. Before, also, one more thing. We are using the a 1 hour, well, slightly more than 1 hour feed of this game that was edited by a YouTube account called 1 Hour Football. They have individual accounts for every conference, and they edit games down to 1 hour. So I want to personally thank 1 Hour Football AAC for this feed and the hard work that they did. Please give them a subscribe on YouTube, because they put together, quick little 1 hour recaps of every American Athletic Conference football game they have for several years now, and they got some good ones up there for you. All right, let's see if I can bring. Okay, here it is. We've got it, and we're going to now. One little tip for everybody: we are not going to be able to. I don't think you're going to be able to hear it. So we'll give everybody just a few minutes to sync themselves up. I'm going to grab the URL and post it into the chat right here. Okay, and if you want to follow along with us and sync it up, there's about a 10-second slate in front of it. So just fast forward at 10 seconds, and then you can watch along with us. We're starting this video at the 10-second mark with the ESPN intro, and you should be able to actually see it right now. Here we go. So, by the way, where is that intersection?
That's the intersection they took. That was like the establishing shot.
Oh, yeah, I don't know what that intersection is, but I thought that was down by what do you call it? I thought that was down by I-Drive. I thought, but anyway, so yeah, this game was the perfect storm, wasn't it? It was Black Friday, 3:30 kick. Everybody was getting back from shopping, I think, and and speaking of, I mean, obviously a lot of people were at this game. I unfortunately couldn't be in the stadium for this game because I was home watching my kid. But I'm still bummed out about that because it just hurts. I mean, but watching it on TV was a surreal experience. And Sean Barraquette says I-4 4-way. I don't think that was it, but man, what an assignment for these two guys, huh? Adam Amin and Dusty Dvoracek. I mean, at the time, these guys, this broadcast crew, I feel like was, they were kind of like down a few pegs, and then all of a sudden, here's this game, that everyone starts watching, and Adam Amin called like the game of his life this day, didn't he?
Yeah, Adam Amin becomes an absolute star, and just listening to it, it's so fun to listen to him. Because his voice his natural tone adds a sense of urgency to everything. And so it makes it really fun to watch. And obviously he had some absolutely fantastic calls here.
Well, how unfortunate is it that we can't hear him now?
Yeah, well, go back and listen to it.
Well, if you're watching, you can sync it up. I've sent the
you're stuck with us. I'm sorry.
Right.
I sent the link out so everybody can. They're doing their whole intro. God, Scott Frost and Charlie Strong. God, remember the days?
Ooh, yeah, ever ago.
Well, and don't forget, Jeffrey, they showed it on the broadcast. The big story coming in, well, not the big story coming in this game, but leading into this game was Miami, number 2, had just lost at Pitt, and so I thought that brought down another team from the ranks of the unbeaten. And obviously, we knew at the end of this season, UCF would be the only one, but at that point, that was significant.
And
in honor of.
Go ahead, Andrew. I'm sorry.
Oh no, just sporting the right colors today.
That's right.
In honor of an undefeated season.
I got mine up here. Go 1-0. Although we didn't really know anything about 1-0 at this time, right? So, I'm pulling up the box score here because I wanted to make sure that I had it when we go through the stats and the possessions and everything. And again, this is a 1 hour cut, although the total of it, because there were so many great plays, comes out to 125-25. So we should be done by 11 o'clock tonight as we finish this up. Thanks again for everybody watching. And they were ready to kick right away. So it seems like and here's the interesting thing about this too, as the kickoff went to USF to start, but we start seeing, some special teams, like, kind of difficult moments there off that kick return, don't you think?
Well, I don't know. What do you mean? What do you mean?
Well, I was a little worried about, I mean, a good return off the kick and off the opening kickoff, and then Quentin Flowers, who little did we know he was about to have possibly the individual game of the year in college football that day.
He put in the cheat
Tampa
code.
Bay Vipers legend.
Yeah,
Quentin
Tampa Bay
Flowers.
Vipers legend.
We hardly knew
Quentin
you.
Flowers. Yes. So, important to remember off the top that this was what they call USF at that time called the Gulf Coast offense, which was Sterling Gilbert was their offensive coordinator, and they were this offense was peaking at the right time for this game, and they were obviously ready for us, and right off the bat you can see that Eric Shenander was thinking, we're gonna rush 4, try and keep Flowers contained and dare him to throw. And they weren't even spying, right, Brian?
He had more time than the AAF.
Yeah.
Oh, too soon?
They did a decent job. By the way, this is a huge play that we can sort of get into.
Right. This is Tyree McCants. And this was when we were in Shaquan Burkett.
Yeah.
You tried hard.
Yeah.
At least you tried.
Yeah,
Wow.
I know. Well, it's funny because USF fans like to show that photograph of Shaquan getting dragged into the end zone by Tyree McCants, and it's like, well, okay, if that's the one thing you want to brag about from this game, yeah, we'll let you have it.
But Jeffrey, you got to let him because he literally almost dragged him 12 yards.
Let's see where he grabs him. That's at the 20-yard line. He's down on his behind. He literally drags him 10 yards.
Yeah, it's amazing. By the way,
World victory.
Trey Neal with a missed tackle there. It's the start of a game that wasn't great for Trey.
This would be a recurring theme, is what you're trying to say?
It wasn't a good game.
It was already a recurring theme coming into this game.
Yeah.
I feel bad for Trey, but because he's always been a good kid. I mean, he just did not have a very good day. There he is, but 108 into the game, and boom, we're down 7-0.
UCF West Virginia is on ESPN too.
JB, what were you thinking at that
Did we
point?
win that game? I probably, honestly, it was probably just typical. Because I feel like what I remember from that year, at least defensively, I knew we always had issues tackling it, the weirds. So it was okay, this is typical. But I was like, let's get McKenzie out there and let's give him a series, and then we can
you and Chris Carter with the with the tackling issues. Lenahan, you were there too. What were you thinking at that point?
Pretty much just at this point in the season, it kind of just felt like you kind of felt like UCF wasn't going to lose. So it was kind of you didn't really worry too much about a quick start, especially given the way the defense has played all season and how good the offense was. You kind of weren't worried about an early 7-0 lead, but it's never fun to go down 7-0 that easily.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think the other thing too, go ahead, Brian. I'm sorry.
No, I agree with that. There's nothing really to there's no panic when you're down 7-0 in a game where you expect the winning score to be in the 40s. You expected that coming in. This is not a big deal.
Yeah. 4 wide for Mackenzie Milton. God, it seems so weird seeing him play quarterback now, doesn't it?
Well,
and so this was
surreal at this point.
Yeah. This is an Adrian Killens possession when you and here they are comparing him to Baker Mayfield at the time. But this was an Adrian Killens possession. I remember Frost thing. I don't know if Anthony and Brian, if you remember, but it felt like Frost would use a different back every possession to try different things out on the defense. Is that right?
Yeah, we still kind of see that. So in terms of you got to credit UCF to really developing 3 to 4 backs that they could use, and at this point they could use 3 backs really consistently. Remember, but at this point we really didn't know much about Greg McCray.
Yeah, that's true. Killens, they give it to Killens on the first third down of the game. It was a 3rd and 1. It still seems weird seeing a 5'7" back getting a carry on 3rd and 1.
Some things never change.
I know.
4th and 1.
Well, maybe that'll change now. Yeah. Already in USF on USF side of the field, and here goes Adrian Killens.
Oh, boy,
Anthony, I know you've broken action like that down a lot. That's just classic Scott Frost.
Yeah, Frost
show one thing and go the other. Already down inside the 10, and now it's just all right. We're just going to pound the football here.
Well, what's funny is that I believe it's this drive is the game overlooks, and this is Mackenzie's scoring, but the video we're looking at overlooks the fact that there was a personal foul on 3rd down on USF on this drive where they stopped Killens short, but the USF guy suplexed Killens out of bounds, and they got him a free 15 and a 1st down and led to a touchdown by Mackenzie.
Yeah. Thankfully, no injuries.
That's true, too.
Mm-hmm.
But like that, we played 3 minutes and 44 seconds, and the game is tied.
And after that touchdown, Adam Amin screams out, if the first 4 minutes are any indication, best stick around, folks. This is going to be a good one. And that's prophetic.
Well, he was right. Yeah. It's Mackenzie Milton, the master of the option. I always thought that. And everyone forgets about the high flying, Scott Frost offense at that time was, everyone would forget that that everyone thought that because UCF scored a lot of points, it was a passing offense, but it really wasn't. It's a running offense that's based a lot on a lot of what Frost principles that he learned as an option quarterback when he was at Nebraska, plus the bits and pieces that he picked up at Oregon. Right? It's just a
dramatically modified to Chip Kelly's style. Actually, the air raid that Heupel brought in was actually more downfield than the Frost offense.
Right. Mm-hmm. That is a touchback, even though it was dropped in the field of play. So Flowers has got the ball already, and we're going to see just way too much of this today.
He had the cheat codes in. Going into this game, I thought it was not going to be all that close because I saw in person he couldn't hit the side of a barn, and here he couldn't screw up. I mean, it was other than a couple throws here and there, he was magic.
But watching this back again, at least as far as the ground game goes, because USF's ground game was really good. By the way, Tyree McCants. That was somebody else. No, it was somebody else. But in the first half, they really limited USF's ground game really well. I don't remember that because I think we all think about how just like amazing like Flowers was, but really in the first half, UCF's defense kind of held strong against really what was the strength of the USF offense.
Yeah, they had really good running
with
backs.
The catch, by the way.
Yeah. Dearness Johnson.
That time you had Dearness Johnson. I mean, and let's not forget that that Flowers himself was basically in running back mode for much of that.
And you had Darius Tice as well, who was a really good running back as another option. And kind of like UCF, there were multiple attack points on that ground game. And the defensive line was just on point. And we were so focused on Flowers and crashing that line that the running backs just really didn't have a lane to work with.
Here's a question from Jeff Gardner. Would you say this game was the undoing of Charlie in Tampa? I don't, but Murph, what do you think?
No. I mean, let's be honest. Like, there's like 200 plays go differently, and he wins this game, and maybe he's still coaching there. I mean, no. I mean, they lost the game, but the undoing didn't happen until the following season. After this season, you're still feeling really strong about Charlie Strong.
Yeah, I don't even think that this was the beginning of the end. 3rd and 6, and we give up 5.
I think the beginning of the end was when they barely had to come back and squeak by Tulsa the following year. I think that's the beginning of the end when you realize this is fool's gold. You know, you started off 7-0, but you had a bunch of comeback and close wins against bad teams, and then the wheels just started to fall off. I mean, UCF got very lucky between 17-18 where bounces just went our way, but in their case, it started to be every bounce went the other way, and they just got exposed for just not really being great.
4th and 1, they run it a 4th straight time, and Pat Jasinski makes the tackle.
Yeah, Pat's really good coming forward. Always really good in the run game. And then obviously there's a big play late in the game where he kind of gets caught as a pass defender, and that never works out really well for him. But going forward, he was really good.
Yeah,
and that was always his biggest weakness.
Yeah. So 7-7, UCF gets the ball, 8.5 to play in the first. I remember that day. It was I forget. Everyone thinks it was like a beautiful setting. It was like a cloudy, kind of misty day, wasn't it, Brian?
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, we tend to romanticize the past because we want to be beautiful, but this day wasn't that pretty. This game, this game is great, but we talk about Quentin Flowers. He really wasn't that great in the first half. But we
Tyree McCann sure was.
Yeah, well, that was different.
First pass of the drive was Jordan.
That's my tight end.
Jordan Akins.
The best pass catcher on the Texans now.
The old man.
Well, not really.
He was, 26 when this game was played?
I think so.
I don't think he was that old.
He was one of the oldest people on the field. We'll just go with that.
Yeah, I don't think he was 26, but it's close.
All right, so Milton with the escapability.
That's crazy.
Play.
I think that's crazy.
UCF, I don't believe UCF scores on this drive, but there are a couple, like that's one right there, and then he makes a throw later in this drive. They're like, oh my god, he's just he's beyond words.
I mean, that
now
stop
they
on the dime,
this
following that sideline. I mean,
they replayed that. They actually gave him a 3-yard gain.
Right.
They skipped a play. Otis Anderson caught a pass for 12, and that's Killens for 3. There's Traquan Smith that you see over there, but let's see here. So we're got
I was in a class with Traquan when this happened.
What class was it?
We took Intro to Sport Business Management together.
Okay.
We sat like 5 or 6 seats away from each other. Brianna Sorensen sat next to him. Shout out Brianna Sorensen. Olivia Gottman also. Shout out Olivia Gottman.
Yeah,
But
there's the option to the right. McKenzie gets the first down.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see them starting to set this up because they're loosening up the right side.
Mm-hmm.
Cam Stewart, who, by the way, was a really underrated interview. I talked to Cam Stewart a few times. Really enjoyed talking to him. I wish we saw more of him in action.
Yeah, I don't think I ever talked to him because this is really my first year covering football, and I don't think I ever talked to him once this season, or really afterward because he was in 2018 as well, and he just wasn't used.
he was just buried in the depth chart. Never really got a shot.
Yeah.
So they ran the out route to Akins that time, and it didn't work. So at that time, there were 3 unbeatens. Look at that. Bama, Wisconsin, UCF.
Yep.
We all know how that plays out.
And then they go to the wide side here with Otis Anderson again, and he gets the first down. Anthony, you see it every time. Like it was just loosen up that side, and then when they get the defense leaning, go back the other way, and there was all kinds of room, right?
Yup, and they just run a little read option there with McKenzie, and whatever read he's got, it's kind of not really fair.
Mm-hmm.
By this time he was just the master of this offense, wasn't he?
Yeah, and his sleight of hand on his option fakes is just tremendous. That makes it that much more effective.
What when you talk about sleight of hand, what kinds of things do you pick up on with that we kind of missed back in the day with him?
Oh, just kind of the way he's able to kind of hide the ball in either the running backs, whatever you call it, however he's going to hand it off into the running back's stomach, or just his quickness to pull it when he wants, and kind of just be able to keep his eyes up at the same time.
And he's also able to get around that edge rusher too.
This is a really hard throw.
That worked later. They tried it again and it worked.
Right.
It worked in the Peach Bowl.
Well, when I say no, that actually did work. What am I saying?
Yeah, I think they scored on a little throwback to Snelson to tie it, 42-42 maybe. I don't remember the exact score.
Well, this was off of the 16 yards, and the key is getting around that edge rusher. I was looking at the screen that he overthrew it, but now I have it back up. But on a second down too, after they missed Akins, and Snelson was just these last 3 games of this season. Snelson was just ridiculous, and I still feel like we should have gotten one more year out of Dredrick Snelson, although he's kind of like that tweener where he had nothing really left to prove at UCF, but was kind of a dime a dozen as a pro.
I mean, hey, you guys got to take their chances when they come. We can talk about, he should have came back. Like, we don't know. Like,
hindsight's 2020.
Like, let's do it. Like, have him do what's best for him. And I will never begrudge a kid going to pro early. I think it would have been fun
to have him around this year. Though it would have been fun to see him. So.
Sure.
I mean, it's just very Jacoby Glenn-like. You had a really good season, and you were concerned about how you would fit in the offense, in the future, and you just took a gamble.
All right, here we go. More Tyree McCanson. Poor Trey Neal.
Oh, Mike Hughes.
55 yards down to the UCF 22. So McCants at this point has hit for, let's see, I'm trying to see. So we had a 37-yarder to Dylan. We had McCants with the 47-yarder.
Right.
And then that play was for 55. So already Flowers is up over 150 yards, and we played 10 minutes.
Yeah, but I mean, I look at it as it's really McCants and his ability to slip tackles. If he goes down on first contact, he ends up losing about 70 or 80 of the 100-something yards he had gained by now.
McCants, by the way, was supposed to play in the CFL this year. He signed a contract in November, but obviously the season is delayed, at least to this point. So Shaquem with a hurry, and that forces a 3rd and 12. And did you see that?
Yeah.
Wait, get off that kid. As it turned out, it really would not matter today whether USF was in 3rd and long or not, because they ended up converting a lot of them in this game.
Oh man,
God, this game was loud.
It was
good pressure and forced it out of the way. Actually, tried to get Wilcox to make a play there. It was actually I thought that was a pretty really dangerous throw. I mean, if Mike Hughes kind of had to come back for it.
Yeah, but to the sidelines. I mean,
he tipped that ball up in the air. There were 2 of them there. If he tipped that ball in the air, you could easily grab it.
Yeah,
and that's dangerous, but
it was double coverage. I think he was lucky that it wasn't picked, but a 3rd down stop for the defense, and Nadelman tries a 42-yarder here.
He's made his last 7 kicks coming into this one.
Broadcaster's jinx.
Wait a minute.
And he sliced it.
Yeah. And another guy who had a really tough day, and when you look back on it and say, what if, like, wow, there's some stuff that some missed opportunities from Nadelman that obviously changes for the game.
So USF's first 3 possessions, they get the touchdown, but then they get stuffed on 4th and 1. And here's Milton with the throw right off the bat on first down on the seam route to Gabe Davis, young Gabe at the time.
The true
and then they get into UCF territory again, and the defense gets a stop, and they force the missed field goal. So three USF possessions in UCF territory, and they have only 7 points to show for it. I'm thinking, man, the defense is looking a little iffy, but hey, bend but don't break, right?
Well, but also you're just encouraged about how the run defense is hanging in there. They haven't really let Flowers free out of the pocket much. They've got some big plays, but again, those big plays were kind of created because of some missed tackles.
And they're playing the odds because Flowers throughout the whole season did not have a good completion percentage. So, they dared him, went downfield, and that's how he ended up doing it.
JB, how loud was this game?
I could hear it from my apartment. That's how loud it was.
Lenham, what about you, man?
My apartment is pretty close, but it's pretty close driving distance, but walking distance, it's a decent amount. But you can hear it from my apartment.
It was very loud, and then to have the Memphis game right after this in the conference championship, probably the best 2 games in a row back to back that I'll ever attend in any sporting event.
Yeah.
The 8 most magical days in UCF history. So, past the Colubiali plus a personal foul on Ronnie Hoggins adds 15 to it. So all of a sudden UCF goes for it. That's on a 3rd and 1, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I love how he just tosses it. It's great.
Yeah.
Well, he threw from so many angles. He's really inventive.
It's funny. USF only had 10 penalties this game. I was at I was at the USF Illinois game where there was 26 in the first half, and
then this option to Killins.
Oh, nasty!
It's nuts.
So I was waiting for the flags to start flying because every play there was a flag to the point where the people in the press box are laughing at the guys on the field. Every play in the first half, there's another flag on the field.
Anthony, on those option plays like that, how hard is it to maintain that composure and make a pitch that late?
I probably wouldn't. I don't know from personal experience, but I would say it's really hard. You don't see quarterbacks making option pitches that late, and usually when you do, like Josh Allen in the playoffs against the Texans, they don't end very well. So,
sorry, Jeremy.
Something else.
What?
And you've seen him make that play multiple times. So
did I miss something?
Yeah. By the way, during the replay of the touchdown, it was Dvorak says that's Mackenzie Milton doing his best Scott Frost impersonation.
Yeah. Scott Frost would have gotten killed by Tom Osborne if he made a pitch that late. Let me tell you.
4 yards past the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. So there's that read option, and boy, it did not work. And was it Jemias Pittman made that tackle?
He was in there. Again, the middle of this UCF defense stood up strong in the first half.
I mean, they keyed on run. They played strict run.
They had nobody on Jemias there.
Yeah, it helps when they don't block.
Jemias was the guy they were trying to force into the decision, and he just didn't fall for it. He almost tackled the two of them at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So Dylan again.
It was mentioned here too about how USF fans or USF players after the touchdown and kind of leading into the kickoff before this drive, the players were kind of getting a little feisty with each other. It was less constructive and more kind of upset, and they were kind of angry down 21-7. That they'd come back, but at this point they were really, really frustrated.
You can't really blame them. 3 times in the enemy territory, and you only walk away with 7 points.
Right.
That can really get in your head.
And that ends the first quarter that I believe took over an hour in real time.
Right. Not our problem though. We got through it in less than 30 minutes.
Man, that's
not bad. Man, this game moved. Let's see. So where are we at here? First down on the 20.
Mm-hmm.
Nowhere to throw. Wide open.
Coverage.
But guess who?
Anyone.
No, it's
nowhere to throw. Oh, he's wide open.
Yeah.
Had more time in the XFL. Oh my goodness.
And there's a face mask penalty here, I believe, on Shaquan. So at this point,
so they skipped ahead during the game. This is after the teams traded punts.
No, it's not.
It's not.
No, this is still the first drive of the second half for second quarter. Yeah.
Because I was looking. See, start of quarter number 2.
Yeah.
I missed something because UCF.
Yeah, because
UCF
he fell on the 20. Yeah.
Yeah, we're fine. It's still the first drive. Flowers finds McCants. Flowers is Flowers is going to end up scoring soon and is going to be brought back by a penalty. USF kept shooting itself in the foot in the first half.
By the way, McCants that was another 55 yards on that one. So by this point in the game, I think he's already either close to or over 200 yards receiving.
He's close to it. He's not over, but he's close. Yeah. By the way, it's kind of funny as they were coming back from the quarter break. They mentioned how Oresco, Mike Oresco, is now saying he's now using the term Power 6 to talk about the AAC, and they were kind of like mocking him, like this new lingo. Like, yeah, what a throw that is too. What a catch too. Yeah. What a catch by Alaka.
Hey, put it in the one place that your defender won't be able to get, and that was a great pitch and catch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes, that was like you said. After Flowers had the run taken back.
Yeah. There was a holding call on USF.
Yeah, and then this ended up becoming a critical moment later on in the game, as you will see.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to point out that they showed a graphic: 8 for 13 for over 250 or 230 yards. That's Tecmo Bowl numbers.
Yeah, doink. So a bad day for Nadelman again, and this. I mean, it wouldn't come. It wouldn't come back to haunt them really, as we'll see later. But it did. It was a factor. I think it was certainly a factor throughout the remainder of the game. So that drive was 6 plays, 91 yards, and 203, and UCF's up 21-13 at this point.
Heading into that game, Nadelman was the conference special teams player of the week.
Well, stop reading your own clips, son.
On the board. So, I mean, if you leave 4 points on the board in a 7-point game, you only need a field goal to tie the game.
Right.
So,
all right. Yeah. So kickoff. You can see it's getting dark, man. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
So we skip ahead to 7:03 to play in the quarter.
Mm-hmm.
And this was after the two teams traded punts. And Snelson for 16 off the first play.
Yep. I believe at this point in the game, there had already been 3 mentions of coaching rumors. And Scott Frost, is he going to go to Tennessee or Nebraska or Florida? Where's he going to go?
Right. God, remember the Frost to Florida rumors? The life that took. Jeez, for a hot second.
Well, remember, like this day, there was a report that Frost was going to meet with Florida the following day, and he was asked about it after the game, and it was like the question was, there's a report saying that you and your representatives are going to go meet with the Gators this week. What do you have to say? And his response was, "I'm my representative, and I'm going to be with my wife and my wife and child," which was cute at the time. But yeah,
it's one of those answers. It's like, all right.
Obviously, everybody knew, what was going on, and then we didn't know until later. But that at this point, in time, that Scott Frost has basically already agreed to become the Nebraska coach. It was agreed to the week prior when they were in Philly against Temple.
Right. It was basically a handshake agreement, right?
Well, it was the very famous. There was more than cheesesteaks. I forgot the AD for Temple, but when they did the AD for Nebraska, was it Bill Moose?
Yeah,
Bill Moose,
AD for Nebraska, and they talked about like, well, there's more than cheesesteaks shared in that conversation. It's like, okay, we get it. When they were playing Temple, you guys were working out your deal to get him to come to Nebraska.
So UCF can't do anything, and Mac Loudermilk comes out for his third punt of the game, which seems strange when you think about like how many punts there were in this game, because obviously a wild shootout of a score, but
this becomes a trend too, and because USF ends up starts putting out like 6 DBs on the 5 and 6 DBs on the field.
Mm-hmm. Was that? I mean, how much of that did Memphis take into the following week? Because there was a point where like McKenzie looked wobbly back there, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was a point. There was a couple points in that game where McKenzie did not play well, especially late in that game. But I don't remember exactly as far as like what kind of alignments Memphis was using. I don't remember, but I know in this, just got going back and watching it, and then like listening to the quotes that I have from this game about how USF had basically started using they got out of their base defense and started using a 3-3 stack, which is 3-3-5, and basically shelled the top and kept UCF's offense underneath, and it really sort of took away everything deep they wanted to run.
Yeah, here's Flowers just breaking arm tackles left and right.
Mm-hmm. And not only that, but we had problems of turnovers. And particularly, Dredrick Snelson had a very bad game the following week. I believe he had 2 turnovers by himself, and that just added to what made Milton's day that much more difficult.
Yeah. So that was McCansford 9.
Yeah. At that point, now he has 210 yards. They might bring up a graphic here, but he has 210 yards at this point. That's a school record. We're at the 4:15 mark in the second quarter.
Yeah, we played 20 minutes of football, basically. So Johnson gets the first down here.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that now, like their MO is we're going to try to slow this game down. And in terms of like running the football, they're not really trying to run too much of the clock because that's not too much of their, really what they do, but they wanted to at least try and set something up and let Flowers kind of work his magic as he does here.
Yeah. Big hole in the middle.
If you leave the middle of the field open like that, a guy like Flowers is going to tuck it and run every single time.
Yeah. Too easy to recognize.
Mm-hmm.
Where was Shaquem on this play? So he was protecting that right side, it looked like, in the shallow zone.
Bryson has a good question of whether this would be the best war of I-4 in history, and I'd have to toss this one up between 17 and 13. Mostly with 13 because it was the first time UCF beat USF, and also that got the Knights to the Fiesta Bowl for the first time. So it's a tough one really to decide which one was really the bigger win.
This one.
It's
this one right here.
Yeah. Now that's not to say that 13 wasn't big. It was, but when you factor in, 13 was obviously big for, the implications of the bowl game and the conference title at that point. But this was, unlike that game 4 years before, this was national TV. It was, I keep coming back to this. It was one of those call your friends games.
It was an undefeated. Right? It was an undefeated season in a game in which, if they had lost, which would have been their first loss of the year, if they had lost, they wouldn't have even been division champions, much less conference champions.
Yeah. Sean Barraquette says 2008 was a good game. That was the game that went to overtime that UCF lost.
The game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that was that was Rocky Ross, right? UCF scored 2 touchdowns in the last minute and a half to tie the game and force overtime. I was working on the field at that time, and they threw it at Wilcox.
Really ugly game. Most of that game was really. Yeah. I was at that game as a season ticket holder, and it was just ugly, just not fun to watch. I mean, there just really wasn't any redeemable quality until the last 5 minutes of the game.
Right. Yeah. You could just skip ahead to the last 5 minutes. So Wilcox catches the touchdown. We'll file that one away for later. But that was a good drive by USF. It was 10 plays, 84 yards, and 326 to, not tie the game, but to get within 1.
Mm-hmm.
God, looking back on it, Zach McElroy, you're right that day. Pitt beating Miami. Who in the world would have thought?
I mean, that's what Pitt does.
Good old
Pitt
Pitt.
has a massive history of upending teams at really crucial times. I mean, UCF,
West Virginia.
Later.
West Virginia was it West Virginia number 2? They beat them that one year. Dave Wanstatt.
Yeah, they took out Rutgers. They took out
yeah.
I mean, they basically took everyone out that mattered. That's what they do. That's their program's called fame. Is they are upset central.
Yeah. So that took us to halftime as UCF
did nothing for the rest of the half.
Yeah, did nothing. South Florida did a little, got to the UCF 42, but then they didn't include this, but the huge pick by Mike Hughes, I'm kind of disappointed that they didn't have this in the. So Hughes had that interception on the last play before, well, not the last play, but 39 or 16 seconds to go before the half. While USF was at the UCF 40 or at their own 44, Hughes makes that pick down at the 11-yard line, and then UCF decides to just take it into the locker room up 21-20. So
right, and Hughes
in halftime too.
Right.
Quick halftime. And Hughes in this game was on Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and he had two really big plays against Scantling on that drive, and then the second one was obviously the pick. But he really kept Valdez-Scantling under wraps.
Packers icon, Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Yeah.
Yep. So
he ended up with less than 10 yards on the day. I mean, Valdez-Scantling was non-existent.
Yes,
right. But the problem was, and this is how good Flowers was he just found everybody else.
Yeah.
But you look at if you look at how he did in the first half and you compare it to his end of the game stats, this was definitely a tale of two halves when it comes to the efficiency of South Florida. They couldn't do anything wrong as far as throwing the ball downfield until that interception, and then you see a lot more incomplete passes in the second half.
Yeah. In the first half, really, they couldn't run the ball.
Exactly.
I think there was a graphic that was up there, I think right before they said that in the first half, UCF had, I think, 6 yards of rush, and USF had only like 1.5.
Right. And USF came into this game, I think, ranked 8th in the country in rushing.
In rushing, yeah. So that was really huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, after those first three possessions, I believe USF or UCF had like four punts in a row. Yeah. 4 punts and a knee.
Anthony, I want to defer to you on this question from Zach McElroy. Was the key to the 2017 and 18 offenses Milton's ability to run?
I wouldn't say so. I mean, the offense last year wasn't bad to say that Milton's running ability was completely a difference maker. I think Milton's decision making and just his ability to improvise was something that's a key difference.
I'll take it a step further and go with his technique. Freshman year, he pushed the ball a lot, and because he has a very unorthodox throwing motion, and as a result, a lot of balls went overhead, and he learned how to bring it down.
Yeah,
and that really helped.
That throw actually that you see right there is, a fundamental quarterback coach would be like losing their mind at that, but he was backing up, and then, and then launching the ball. Here's Otis Anderson. That's a designed pass, by the way.
Oh, he was ready to throw that ball.
Yeah.
I also, in terms of that question, I don't think Dylan Gabriel gets enough credit for his ability to run. When he actually wanted to run the football, he was very effective. It was just kind of more of his decision making, I would say, than his actual ability to run.
Right.
Yeah, we saw that late in the season because, we saw that so many times. I think like the Pitt game was a good example of how Dylan, if he was not so afraid of running the football, that could have made a difference in possibly winning or losing a couple games, right?
And that's part of the growth process. And you're learning to get the speed of the game. You're in a hostile environment. If you remember, he struggled on the road, at times pretty badly. But that's part of the growth of throwing an 18-year-old into the fire. So, it comes with the package. Very rarely you're going to get a freshman that's going to be on all cylinders all the time. We remember Milton his freshman year. He had some rough outings. To the point, I remember the bowl game, the booing, everything. Give us Justin Holman.
How quick? I remember that too. I keep bringing that up. Right, Brian? Is like we were sitting, you, me, and Lopez were sitting in the press box, and and they were booing Mackenzie Milton off the field, and people were screaming at me on Twitter saying, "Put Holman in there."
Well, I wasn't there, but anyway.
You weren't there?
No. I had just arrived in Florida. I had just moved here. So I'm glad I missed it. But yeah, I know all the stories about how the fans turned on him and how really that affected him, and he really that really hurt him.
Well, the jump that he made from 2016 to 2017 was just unlike anything. And at least Sean Barraquette is one of the few people who's actually honest.
I did. I booed him.
Touchdown to
I was a booer.
touchdown to Gabe Davis.
But you're sitting in the stands. It's the heat of the moment. You're upset. It's gonna come out. I was sitting next to a guy from Philadelphia. I mean, that's what they do.
While we're
this
on
drive-
Gabe Davis,
go ahead, JB.
like what round are we projecting for him for the draft?
He's a late third or fourth rounder.
Yeah, I'd say day 2, right? What do you think, Anthony?
Early day 3.
What do you think, Anthony?
Is his audio?
Oh, I think you got yourself muted.
Oh no!
He's not thinking.
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
That's okay. No, that's okay. We're just draft projections for Gabe Davis. I'm thinking, second day, probably. What do you think?
I think he'll probably be a third or fourth round pick. I don't think I think he's better than that, but kind of the whole process kind of getting all messed up with everything going on is going to hurt him a little bit. But
yeah,
in the end,
The thing is, all those mid-round picks, honestly, all that matters is the fit. It really, because they all could go anywhere, and it literally depends on the fit. Like Riley Ridley out of Georgia probably should be like a wide receiver 3 at worst, and he's like buried in that Chicago depth chart because they don't need a receiver. So I hope that Gabe goes somewhere where he could play this next season.
The Green Bay, some of the Green Bay Packers media were throwing Gabe Davis out there. Boy, would he be a good fit for Aaron Rodgers, don't you think?
Oh yeah,
I think it's one of the better fits.
What do you think, Bri?
They really need a guy with, I think, more speed, who's also good. I mean, they have guys with speed, but like Valdez-Scantling, he can't catch. So if they can get a guy with if they can get a guy with Gabe's hands, but with more of a motor, that's probably a better fit to serve, because obviously Devontae Adams is a stud, and then you need another field stretcher on the other side. That's just me, but I just looking at the reports on Gabe. Everybody talks about he's not a burner, and there are some things technically that he has to clean up, and he didn't run a huge route tree in this offense, which is understandable, and also it's just it is what it is. Like Jeremy said, it's all about fit. I think the same thing with Adrian Killens. I could see him being successful in some role if he's used correctly in the right system in the NFL, even though he probably will not be drafted come the draft. But it's all about fit.
Yeah, Killens is a harder one to kind of find a good spot for. The last guy I remember about his height, was Warwick Dunn, and you don't see many backs that small, but you tighten up that kick returning game, you can really make a name for yourself in the return game.
I think that it's the kick returning, the special teams that's going to do him a favor, and then also great play by Mike Hughes there, and then also if he can fit into one of those modified West Coast systems. I'm actually doing a thing that's coming out tomorrow on Killens. If he can basically work himself into the Tyreek Hill mode, if he can be someone's Tyreek Hill, that might be something.
I don't see him as Tyreek Hill, because Tyreek Hill is a legitimate route runner.
Dion Lewis. I think he needs to look at Dion Lewis, a third down back that can come out of the backfield, be a change of pace guy with a lot of speed.
Mm.
I look at him like Tariq Cohen, who's not quite as shifty as Tariq Cohen. Yeah. He is that size, he has that speed. Tariq Cohen has some ridiculous just he has tremendous quickness. I don't think Killins is that side to side quick as Cohen, but it's like that's more where I see him being.
Zach with a question. Statistically, Dylan was better his freshman year than Milton his freshman year. Anything to that? And I think Sean, kind of answered that for him. He said, well, Milton had an 0-12 team figuring it out. And, by the time Dylan took over, they were 25 and won their last 26 games.
Well, there's that and the fact that Milton's mechanics were very rough his freshman year. Gabriel's mechanics were a lot more solid. Now, that doesn't mean anything in the future because we see players improve all the time. But I mean, 1 year a career does not make.
Yeah. Garrett Weiss says, as USF scores on the Wildcat with Tyson. My girlfriend is asking why I'm watching you all talk about an old game,
because all other sports are dead.
That's right. I mean,
because
my wife was asking me the same question. I'm like,
wait, this is an old game.
Mm.
This is an old game. This is not happening right now.
Yeah. And by the way, thanks for everybody that is in, and even Nick Simon has chimed in saying this is an all-around great game. One of our compatriots from the Daily Stampede. So now's the point. Okay, it's dark. It's late third quarter. This game is starting to heat up now, right?
Yeah. And now because you saw on that drive, like Flowers getting more space up the middle now. He's getting more rushing lanes. And now this game is really starting to go because it seems like USF's rushing offense has found its groove.
Yeah, and part of that was I think what Shenander decided at halftime was I'm going to dare Flowers to throw the ball, and this is where all of a sudden I remember sitting at home thinking, okay, now I'm getting nervous because on the first play after the USF touchdown to get within one, Mackenzie Milton throws a pick, and they're going to replay this, and I don't know if Traquan Smith wasn't thinking the ball was coming to him. He's like running quarter speed, and really Hoggins jumps the route.
It was a really bad angle to begin with, and the throw was a little bit behind him.
It looked like Mackenzie tried to fling it in there when he could have gone over the top, right?
He should have gone over the top because when you're angling away like that, the defender's going to be exactly where he was, and you got to go ahead. And if you're angling away towards the flag, you got to put it over the shoulder, and he didn't.
Yeah, that was a real head scratcher. Bryson asks for each of you, where does this game rank all time for any college football game you've watched live?
This is number one for me.
I'm watching it right now. I don't know how it ends, so
yeah,
I'll answer after.
I'm not old enough to see this game when it was live.
Yeah.
Well, Anthony, you were telling me already that it was like between this and Memphis the next week, it was wild.
Yeah, and then even if you throw in the Auburn game, the Peach Bowl, the three straight games were. I mean, you can't really beat that stretch as a fan of any team.
No. Yeah.
I would put this one above the Peach Bowl just on a personal note because it's the rivalry game. It sets the stage for the conference championship. It kept USF out, and while we didn't realize that winning the Peach Bowl was going to lead to national championship at the time. We knew we were undefeated, but I mean, anytime you win on this stage in your home stadium with all the noise, all the excitement, it just takes it to a whole nother level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think that also it being dark actually adds to the game.
Can I say something about this touchdown? Quentin Flowers. I get the whole thing, but that celebration at the end. Sorry, bud.
It's
you
a
lost
little
all
lewd.
goodwill from me. I don't think so.
Okay. All right. hold on to your moral high point there. I understand it's a little lewd, but come on, don't worry about it. I would like to point out that I think that's Kyle.
If Joe Buck gets to go on and on about Randy Moss pretending to pull his pants down.
Yeah, well, he overreacted there too. And
I agree.
So let's not make a big. I understand it's not a great look, but
whatever.
I will say though, I think that's Kyle Gibson.
Get off my lawn.
I think that's Kyle Gibson on the replay that gets faked out at like the 15-yard line on this run. This is pretty amazing.
So they're rushing 4. They run a stunt up the middle, and
great block scheme.
There's just nothing. There's just nobody there. And who is that? Hughes? No, it was Kyle Gibson. He hit the R2 button on Kyle Gibson. I feel bad for him.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Garrett Weiss asks, "What's everyone's drink of choice during COVID-19?"
I'm a beer guy.
Murph is probably gonna have the best. I got one for you. Okay. If anyone has this, and Bryson Turner earmuffs because, like you said, you're underage. My go-to cocktail is a Fireball, Amaretto, and Dr. Pepper.
What the hell are you? Ew.
What do you mean, what the hell am I?
Weird.
It's good.
That actually sounds like it could be good.
Try it.
I would trust you with that. I trust Jeff's opinion on that. I'm going to try that.
This bottle of Larson,
like Fireball and
Larson bourbon's almost empty, but this is really good.
What is that, Murph?
Larceny bourbon. Really good.
Larceny bourbon? Okay. Right out of the bottle.
Drinking it straight out of the thing?
Oh, I'm sorry.
What's he sharing?
Can you toss me some? Drop it down to Andrew, and Andrew will drop it to me.
Right.
Andrew, what was your...
I'm waiting.
What were you saying earlier, Andrew?
Well, I mean, you talk about Fireball. I like Fireball with rum chata. You get that cinnamon toast crunch feel to it. But man, I'm a big Siesta Key rum fan. Of course, it's local here, but it's some of the best coconut rum you will ever have, and it wins awards every single year.
Okay.
I do like coconut rum.
Try Siesta Key rum.
Coconut rum tastes really good.
So now we're in the just to reset. We're now in the fourth quarter. It's a 3rd and 7 after a 59-yard punt by John Hernandez.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a big 3rd and 7 here too. This is Mackenzie Milton
getting picked.
Yeah. But hold up.
There's a flag on the play.
Hold the phone.
Yeah.
So Dusty Dvorak is talking about how careless Mackenzie was getting with the ball, but they get a hold on USF that wipes the pick and gives UCF a first down. And Dusty was saying that it was a real bailout. I forget if did they replay this? No, they didn't replay it, but but yeah, this was one of those things where I think Mackenzie got a little bit too greedy on that one, and he kind of lucked out a little bit.
Well, again, no, I mean, like, yeah, again, the way that USF was playing their defense, they're dropping a lot of guys. They have a lot of DBs on the field. Like, they're like, if he's trying to go 20 yards down the seam, there's probably not going to be much open there.
Yeah. So on that one, let's see, that was what, 1st and 10 after the pick that got wiped.
Yeah.
Killens had a run. Wait, go ahead. I'm sorry, Andrew.
I always get giddy every time I see the wire cam operating at Spectrum. I remember the first game was against South Carolina, I think, when they first installed it. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever. So I always seem to get giddy every time, they got the overhead wire cam working at the house.
So where's the time in this game right now?
I think it's
we're at about the 11-minute mark, I believe, in the fourth.
No, we skipped ahead. 7:41.
Okay, they really went ahead.
Yeah, they really skipped ahead on this one. So
because I was going to
there's the
say
miss to Traquan, and then here's the throwback to Snelson.
Yeah, just
Now
kind
that
of
was probably the best play up until this point, I think, for UCF.
kind of looks like the same play that they drew up for the touchdown earlier.
Right,
Breaking
right.
news.
Except that he it wasn't so much a go as much as it was a stop in the back of the end zone.
Arkansas fired Bielema.
Oh, look at that! Arkansas just fired Brett Bielema. But
Scott Frost is going to be there, Arkansas.
yeah, I know Scott Frost to Wisconsin. So that was a 4-play, 72-yard drive in 35 seconds. And
But they skipped over the part of the game where I was saying at this point before that touchdown, USF had the ball at that point, like the 10-minute mark. USF had the ball. I was really concerned because they could not stop Flowers at this point. They were down by 7, or they were down by 6, and USF had the ball. There was really just a good stop by UCF's defense. Where they got a sack. I think Tony Garrod had a sack.
That was by the way. That was after UCF got stopped on a 4th and 1 at the USF 33.
Right. So it's interesting that none of that gets shown, but especially the 4th and 1 where they got stopped. But yeah, it was a good stand by UCF's defense. Down by 7 with 10 minutes to go, less than 10 minutes to go, and with Flowers rolling, it was a really good stand, and it led to that game tying, the go ahead touchdown.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sean, Adam, I love how he gets into games. I mean, he just totally gets into it.
By the way, can we all just be Adam Amin stands for Monday Night Football, for the Monday Night Football rumors for just a little bit?
Oh, sure.
Would you mind seeing him on MNF?
Oh, I'd love it.
I mean, he's much better than what they've got. This was kind of the nascent stages of Nightlights. This is when Nightlights was, I think, in its first year.
All right, so USF's got the ball 7.5.
Mm-hmm.
And this is after a false start penalty. And then Titus Davis in the fourth quarter, I thought, played extremely well.
And that tackle was outstanding. I mean, the juke move by Flowers there would have faked a number of guys out, and he just got enough to bring him down for the nice loss.
So that brings us to a second and 18. This is the but at this point, I mean, you could even sense that the place was going nuts. And if he hits McCants right there, it's a real problem. He just missed that throw.
He flowered it.
Well, hold your tongue because he's about to make a decent throw and an even better catch coming up.
Yeah. But it's weird that on that. I mean, McCants actually beat Mike Hughes, and he had inside position.
It was a great route.
It was a great route, and there's no safety there. I mean, that's going the rest of the way. Well, I mean, it's a race between McCants and Hughes. I think Hughes might probably catch him, but first downs in the fourth quarter, 6-0 UCF until.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Look at that catch, and in front of Hughes too. I don't know how Solomon made that catch, but Mike Hughes was. This is the part of the season where we, I mean, Mike Hughes really, obviously, to me, was the MVP of this game, not just because of how it ended, but the defense. I mean, this is incredible coverage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it looked like he kind of bobbled it there at the end, but the call was confirmed on replay. But
yeah,
sometimes you just gotta tip your cap and say, "You got it."
Don't tell me that these. Can you name me a more stressful fourth quarter than this one, Brett? Yeah, the Auburn game.
I
would put the Auburn game right there. I mean,
the LSU game.
I don't know.
I don't know about the LSU game.
Because again, remember, USF is trailing in this fourth quarter for, I believe, the first time all season in this game.
Yeah.
And they're trailing with less than 10 minutes to play in a game where if they don't win, their undefeated season probably brings them to the Birmingham Bowl.
Yeah.
They go 10-1, and they go to the Birmingham Bowl. So I mean, this fourth quarter is stressful.
I think I lost a few years of my life from this quarter.
But this is like this is the greatness of like, I mean, everyone wants to kind of, you know, now we've hit like the thing where, you know, the time space continuum is folded back in on itself, and people are now trying to say that, well, it's not really a rivalry anymore between UCF and USF because we've kind of owned them in sports the last few years. But like, come on, first of all, that's ridiculous. And second of all, when these two, I mean, this is the perfect storm. When these two teams are good, there's every play. This is what we old hats, us old UCF hats, have been, you know, we're waiting for years. It's like a good rival that we, you know, so we can feel the game, see what a game like this really felt like, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we finally got it, and boy, it was so much better than we even thought it would be. I mean, that's the part that I still am amazed by.
I mean, we thought we were getting something when Marshall and UCF started in the early 2000s, and the jammed-up rivalry that ESPN tried so hard to make happen, and we had some good games on it, but it never got to this. I mean, there was no chance. Once.
And this was the point, by the way, this is the point in the game where everyone started texting and calling everybody saying, hey, you watching this crazy UCF-USF game?
I mean,
turn on the TV right now.
Jeff, Twitter was on fire talking about this game. National people, you know, other pro athletes are like, are you watching this game kind of thing?
Neville Clark got away with a little something there at the end there. But young Neville Clark, Brian Murphy.
He is a sophomore, I think he's a sophomore.
Yeah.
So 3rd and 7. Look at this number: 8 of 15 on third downs, and they average 9.9 yards to go on all those third downs.
Mm-hmm. But nice job bringing. Nice job again. Yeah, nice job bringing the blitz there. Got home, forced a wild throw, and
Jasinski with the pressure, and it looks like he hurt Flowers a little bit at the end of that too, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, spoiler, he'd be okay. He'd be fine.
Yeah, he'd be fine. So
now the game's ruined.
Right.
Well, now
UCF the big play by Jasinski.
Yeah, no, definitely. And now UCF has an issue. UCF needs to sort of play like clock management, and that's something they just don't do, and they're going to try to do it here.
Yikes.
Well, the old what is it? The old 4-minute offense. But how do you run a 4-minute offense when you're go all the time?
Yeah, sure.
And to answer Bryson's question, multiple publications had UCF-USF in their top 10, even top 5 games of the year.
Yeah.
No, was it?
Look at this wild option to Otis Anderson.
I believe Sports Illustrated ranked it number 1. Like, it got number 1 in quite a few places.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think everyone had it at least in the top 10. There was, I think, an 8 somewhere, and then most were top 5, top 3. Definitely best regular season game.
Because this was the year of the Tua comes in at halftime and wins the national championship.
Yeah, the overtime national championship game.
So that probably was number 1 on most people's list. This was probably 2, 3, 4 on most people's list.
Yeah, the most common I saw was 3 behind, obviously that game, and now, of course, when I need to remember it, one of the other playoff games.
Now, what's funny about this possession?
Oh, it was Georgia, Oklahoma. That was it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that Rose Bowl. Yeah.
What's bizarre about this possession here is, all right, so this is the Otis Anderson possession. And they're running they're running stuff like they're running the 4-minute offense effectively. Look, I mean, they just got a first down. There's under 3.5 to go. They're letting the clock run. And McKenzie with 4, there you see 320 plus 56 and 4 touchdowns. They're on the 32-yard line. And I'm thinking, hey, a couple more first downs. We could call it a day here. But then they decide for some reason to start throwing the ball downfield. And then Traquan Smith gets interfered with on this. It's like, this is when I was like, I'll take the penalty, but I was like, why are we throwing the ball downfield like this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's 3:11 to go.
USF had all 3 timeouts, and I agree with you. The first thing I thought is, man, they need to dial it back, just milk the clock. But with that much time and all the timeouts, I mean, it's a normal possession at that point.
They wanted a score, I think, because if you score here, even if it's 3, that means that USF needs a touchdown to win or to tie, depending on whether or not you get 7 or you get 3.
Right.
But
at this point,
if I'm playing Scott Frost, that's probably what I'd go with.
But at this point, I'm looking at him saying, I'm trying to eat as much clock as I can. I think USF burns a timeout here at some point.
I think a lot of coaches, they get, like, especially in a game like this, they get kind of, like, excited and they just forget, like, common, like, it's easy to say now, like, there's 3 minutes left, just run out the clock and finish it. But I think when you're, obviously when you got the headset on and when you're the one making the decisions, you tend to forget about things like that because you're just like, I want to score, I want to win.
Well, here they hit Traquan down inside the 25.
Nice little pitching catch.
And now you see Milton like kind of signaling, okay, let's slow it down right here. So you're in field goal range. It's under 3 minutes. Yeah. You can burn this thing down to around a minute and a half if you don't get a first down.
What's the perfect play to call against the blitz?
Well, on first down, Garrett's got it.
There we go. Perfect play against the blitz. Again,
on a first down.
Adam Amin had no. I think it was next
this
play.
Isn't it? But
Adam Amin
had to throw the ball there. Run the clock.
Stop it, Jeffrey. They don't know what they only are trying to do what they know how to do. They don't know how to run the clock. Adam Amin had some outstanding calls in this game. That was one of his best. The best thing about,
by the way, these last few plays, I'm going to actually pause it. I want to try and break them down here a little bit. So, we'll play it and then we'll run it back. Zach quickly asks, if Milton comes back 100% this year, not likely. What do we do?
Play Gabriel.
Play Dylan Gabriel. Here's the screen.
I don't think he gets touched, right? Like until the goal line.
Didn't get touched until he got into the end zone.
Yeah.
All right, so I want to run this back. And we're going to run it in half speed here. Because I want to see how this all broke down. So, and it's, by the way, it's really funny listening to Adam Amin in slow motion. But here's Otis slipping through. Left tackle's already out there. All right. Snelson comes inside, and you can see him up and around in between the 25 and the 20. And then it's just a matter of, do you get the ball out to Anderson on the inside? The defensive end, Anderson's already got a beat on the ball.
Throw.
This is a risky throw in between these two. But who else can make this throw? Right.
Well, it's risky on 2 levels. I mean, look where the linemen were when the throw was made. The fact that one was over 3 yards downfield, you're almost to the point of risking an eligible man downfield.
Right. Well, the rule is 5, right?
I said almost. Especially
now he's coming back to block. This is almost the block in the back. You have, I forget who this is. I think this is Gabe Davis up here. No, it's Traquan. Okay, Traquan is like, so that's Aaron Evans back there.
Aaron Evans. Once he gets past the Aaron Evans block and Traquan steals his man, it's a touchdown. It's a touchdown at the 15-yard line.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from there, it's home free.
Yeah.
And
in case he's
now,
out.
Okay. Now here's another thing that I want to throw out there. Why not go for 2? If you miss, it's a 7-point game. If you make it, it's a 2-score game.
That loses this game.
Because if you make it, it's a 2-score game with 2:21 left. They're not going to catch you.
But you want to put the pressure on them to have to make the 2-point conversion. I mean, that's just the play of percentages.
Right. 6 plays, 80 yards, and 212. Still 2:21 to go.
Mm-hmm. But at this point, you're feeling like, wow, well, this is really good. We're looking great.
It's gonna take. They might have a chance to tie the game on the last possession. Is what you're thinking at this point, right?
I know at this point, I'm on the field. I'm in the opposite corner of the end zone on that side
You're
of the
in,
field,
the lower right hand part of the screen.
Right. I'm on the other side of the end zone, and it was amazing. I remember just taking video of the crowd leading into this kickoff here about how amazing how loud it was. Like we've said, it was just an amazing atmosphere, but it really ratcheted up here in these last couple minutes.
Really, Clark, downfield blocking university. Yeah, someone watched the Fiesta Bowl.
Yeah,
from 2013. That was a clinic in downfield wide receiver blocking that game. At this point, Anthony Lenahan, this place is just going bonkers, right?
Yeah, this was a wild point in the game.
It's
second to probably the kickoff return.
Right.
And then, obviously, the dichotomy of how everything comes to a hush here. It's amazing.
One play.
Little busted coverage.
Well, I mean, Jasinski was just completely out of his league there. I mean, Solomon.
Well, no, what happened there is the safety over the top just doesn't take him. It's the safety's man, and he doesn't take him.
I think that was Trey Neal.
It was, and we'll go ahead and run this back here real quick, and you can see right after the kick. All right, so I'm going to play it again in half speed here. No, not subtitles. Get out of here with that. Let's go back to half speed. So you can first you see Jasinski when they line up is in his regular position. Okay, and this is Kyle Gibson over here, and Jasinski goes with the motion man, who is Solomon. And you can see him kind of looking back here saying, hey, are you sure I'm supposed to take this guy? And he's telling Bam Moore down at the bottom of the screen, hey, you switch outside and I'll take the slot guy, thinking that he's got safety help.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Solomon's motion, look what Solomon did. Or that wasn't Solomon. Solomon's in the slot. So the motion guy goes all the way out Bam takes him, and Jasinski's stuck on Solomon. The second Flowers sees Jasinski outside the box, the play's over. He knows where he's going. So now it's just a question, and this is a really great play by Flowers because watch the subtle little shoulder hitch. And Gibson, all the way on the left side of your screen, falls for the hitch. Watch. See the shoulder turn right there? And it was a go route the whole way.
Oh.
I mean, it was
he never had a chance.
Never had a chance. And it's really just it was really just a fantastic job of recognition by Flowers. And
if Gibson was there for the guy and Jasinski was, making sure Flowers wasn't going out for a gain of his own, that play probably doesn't happen.
Yeah. But Gibson's got to get – Gibson, you're the deep safety. Just don't get beat deep. Don't get beat deep. That's young Kyle Gibson for you, but he got better.
Yeah.
So now it's 2-point conversion time. And it's been we now know it's true. Actually, it was this morning Quentin Flowers actually tweeted out about this play of all people. And he said that he actually called this play in the huddle. Starling Gilbert had a certain play call on, and Flowers just right here he just throws it out and says, "This is what I want you to do now." And we'll break this one down too in a second. Why are we in nickel? Asks Sean. Well,
I don't know
how many receivers they have.
You only have they had 5 receivers out there, and you got to watch for the run. But I'll show you what happened here in a second.
It's just a leak out by the running back.
Yeah, just a simple leak out. Mm-hmm. All right, so 42 up, and he's telling 85 to get to the left side. And basically the design is a flood play to the right. He's got trips right, and the tight end is going to on the left side is going to go to the right as well. So back to half speed here. At the snap, watch Shaquem Griffin. He's the outside linebacker on the near side. Johnson is the back. Trust me, it's coming. So Shaquem is coming, and Johnson chips him and then leaks. And when he leaks, Flowers goes out to the right. There's nobody on the left side. Johnson's already open. Because everyone is going to the right. Even the tight end who is on the left side, then it's just a simple throwback, and there's nobody there.
And he had enough time that he could turn around and make the throw because, if you're backing up and you try that, that's hard. But he was able to make the full turn. Defense wasn't able to get there quick enough, and there you go.
And all of a sudden, we're tied at 42. And Twitter's going bonkers. And Lenahan, again, you were in the stands, and Murphy, you were on the field too. At this point, what's the feeling in the building?
Well, on the field, you could just sense how the air had been sucked out. And here, the crowd was so revved up, like before the touchdown or before the on the play of the touchdown, and then when that pass is completed down the seam, to hear it go to a hush was amazing. And then obviously they try to get up for this one, and then you just see like for the longest time, because it feels like this throw takes a mile. It takes like a minute to get there, and you're just looking at it and go, "Oh, he's wide open. He's absolutely wide open. He's got. I mean, this is a tie game. It was hard to believe."
We're thinking
slow mo. No.
Yeah. I'm thinking at this point, all right, 141 to play. We got 2 timeouts. Just get in field goal range. Get in field goal range. We can get 2 plays here. Don't get overly greedy. Matt Wright's is fine. Matt Wright is a good kicker. We're all right. And then this happens.
Good move. He's got reservations for 6 in the cabanas. I like that shot.
Who was 32?
And everyone lose their collective marbles.
Who's 32? Who is that kid?
Tyrann Mathieu.
It's not Tyrann Mathieu.
All right, let's go back to let's go to the kickoff here. We're going to break this down. By the way, do you believe it? Knights take the lead on a Hughes touchdown, Adam Amin. So obviously you're kicking the ball deep. Whether or not you're trying to kick it to the end zone, it doesn't get there. So a couple things happen here. First of all, it was a massive screw up by USF on the coverage. And second of all, this on UCF's play, due respect to everybody to the other 10 players. But this, when I look back on it and ran it back a couple times, this was Mike Hughes. All right. You can see the return set up. Already USF is in trouble because if you look on the right side of the screen, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys are already all bunched up in between the hash marks. There's 3 guys on the outside the near hash mark, and 1 guy getting doubled on the hash mark. Hughes's vision on this play, to me, is just spectacular because he sees the gap right now, all right? If he can get past, if he has enough speed, the question is, can he build up enough speed to get to the hole, all right? Mm-hmm. So he does here, getting past that first guy. Did you see that first guy? Just ran right by him. These 2 guys are blocked. The second he gets to the A, it's almost over. Now, 29 is on the right side of your screen there. He's not worried about the guy who's getting blocked. He's worried about 29. Normally at this point, if you're a kick returner, you're thinking, I got daylight to the right. If I can get to the sideline, this might be something. All right? But then Hughes makes what I think is the cut of the century. He cuts inside right there. Mm-hmm. And I don't know who this guy is. He throws a fantastic block.
That's Jordan Franks.
Jordan Franks?
Yeah.
And then He makes another fantastic cut on this guy. Cuts inside him, and it's over.
Yeah. I will say, like, that one cut between the two guys at the very end is amazing. He gets 4 really good blocks, I thought.
And
when he go ahead.
No, Murph, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, if you want to look back at the play, and they actually give you a pretty good angle of it. If you let this roll go to regular speed, and they'll give you an angle from the other end zone, so you're kind of looking right at him, and they give you a good angle of the lane he takes and the blocks that are set up for him. But once he runs past that first guy, you said he runs past that guy. He kind of just beats him to the mark. He runs through an alley that's really set up by Case Harrison and Gabe Luyanda. And then I'm pretty sure it's Shaquan Burkett with the block that leads him into that area where he's able to and then Jordan Franks with a little small clear out. But I think it's Burkett who has a really big block after that initial line of defense. But those 4 guys, Case Harrison, Luyanda, Burkett, and Franks really did a fantastic job.
I don't know what to make of Flowers, freaking out at the coaches on that one about why is our coverage so bad. But all right, so let's break this down here, Murph. Show me what you're talking about.
So he's going to run past this first guy. He's going to beat him. I think it's like 32, right? And then he's got 2 blocks. So you got 80 on the right and then 24 on the left. And then you have Burkett 2 here at the second level. He takes that guy out of the picture. Number 2 right in the middle of your screen. He takes that guy out.
Right there.
And then Jordan Franks with a little clear out to make sure that. Now, that guy probably doesn't tackle Hughes anyway. But just for good measure, Franks clears them.
For the guy, so if this is the instincts of a great runner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because Hughes could have cut to the right and it would have been a foot race with 14, right?
Yeah.
But he cuts inside him like this. I can't even.
No, that's fantastic. That's athleticism.
Yeah, that's
faith in
that
your
cut.
skill.
That cut made him a lot of money.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, not really. It's more about the cornerback play.
That too, which he did a lot in this game. But I mean, special teams.
Yeah, it's word of mouth. People know who Mike Hughes is now after this play, and then you're like, oh, he's not that bad of a corner. Take him in the first round.
Also, Mike Hughes said after the game he knew he had to outrun the kicker, or else he'd be hear about it all night from his teammates.
Oh well, yeah. when you've got the game in your hands, you better outrun the freaking kicker.
And Jeff, to answer your question, 32 is Alex Ward, who is the current long snapper.
Yeah.
We call him the honey snapper.
So Alex Ward.
Alex
You're
Ward,
a famous man.
We should call him the honey
much
snapper.
love
He looks like the honey badger, and he's the long snapper, the honey snapper.
Much love for long snappers.
Yes.
So now, now you're thinking 128 to go. Oh God, they have 2 timeouts and Flowers, and they just scored on an 83-yard touchdown, and then they give up the long kick return. I'm like, oh my God, like here we go, right? I mean, this is like we're going to be here all night.
Again, this game had everything.
I forgot about this.
Yeah, so that great play, pretty good play by Flowers, but then Pittman with an excellent tackle.
Mm-hmm.
And then tick, 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 tick. The clock's going down.
But they've got time. I'm still thinking, like 2 timeouts, they got time here, right?
Yeah, they got plenty of time. They have plenty of time.
2 timeouts. You got lots of speed. 2nd and 9. And that was a nice breakup. Like Clark thought he could have had that one.
Novell has never seen a pass. Novell has never seen a pass that he didn't think he could pick off.
Well, yeah. But could you imagine, like, if he did catch that, he probably could have scored. And then it would have been 56-42.
Okay.
So the big third down here.
Yep.
That's
This
how
is
big
it.
that first down play was by Pittman. I think this is it, right? 3rd and 9.
This is it. Yeah.
47 seconds left.
Yeah.
And Wilcox has the first down.
Mm-hmm. I love
Crazy.
watching Richie Grant and those guys just run off before the referee even makes a signal. Like they know it's over, it's done.
The game's over.
And I feel so bad for Wilcox. Wilcox is despondent.
That's the rivalry right there, right? The thrill of victory, the agony of defeat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Murph and Anthony again. It's just the place must have gone absolutely. I mean, the place did go ballistic. It was every bit as crazy as you thought on TV or as it looked on TV, but it really must have been something.
Yeah.
This play right here, man, Richie Grant. Now,
yeah, and Richie.
Go ahead, Murph.
Well, Richie at this time, is a reserve. He's a reserve DB. I mean, he's not really a huge name yet. He would become that obviously in 2018 and then into 2019. But this is sort of when you really start to know who Richie Grant is.
And look at the form on this. I mean, he's obviously outsized on this, but the closed hand punch on the opposite side to knock the ball loose, and Shaquem Griffin all over it. There he is. Oh no, it wasn't Shaquem.
It was Shaquan. It was Shaquan Burkett. They kept yelling. They kept yelling on the broadcast, like, "Oh my God!" And Shaquem Griffin recovers. Like he didn't, though. It was Burkett, but whatever.
Well, what's funny about from where they're sitting at in the booth at the very top.
Yeah.
It looks like Shaquem jumped on it, but then you see in the replay that Shaquan kind of reached in and kind of took it away from him. Like, watch.
Yeah. No, he did. No, I love this, watching Richie run off, like almost immediately once they hop on the ball. Like, and Novell runs off too. Like, that's it.
Yeah, like they know. I love What was the sideline doing at that? Do you remember?
The UCF sideline?
Yeah.
It's going ballistic.
They must have all been on the field.
Yeah. Yes.
I wish we had a shot of that. Dadgummit. Shaquan. God, I love Shaquan Burkett to death. I mean, a good dude. Quit football, came back. Got the what ended up being the game-winning points in the Peach Bowl on New Year's Day. I mean, that kid. I was happy for that kid.
How did the other guy, like Jeremy? How did you feel at this point?
I was very happy.
You are very happy. First time you saw this.
It was a good day.
Glutchop, what about you?
Well, Jeff, I'm going to age us a little bit. Back in the early days of the MAC and Independent and early CUSA, there was a term, UCF in the game. We'd find a way to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. This was a very foreign feeling. Oh my God, we actually won the big one. We don't normally win the big one.
We had the big stage. This is the game that we would always. You're right. I mean, because I come from the same sort of age bracket.
We're old.
We find a way to. This is the kind of game that we find a way to lose. I think back to that Marshall game in 2002 at Marshall, when we could have won the division had we beaten them in Huntington. And we had 4 possessions in Marshall territory in the fourth quarter and came up with no points. And but then we ran out there, and I'm like, I can't believe we're winning a game like this, and in the fashion that we did. And that was when everyone was like, "Wow, can you believe that this happened?" I
was at that Marshall game in 2002. At the Syracuse and Toledo home games the same year. All those games should have won every single one of them, or was winning them, like particularly the Syracuse game.
Oh, the
And
Syracuse
found
game, we were up,
ways
what, 28-3 at one point?
Yeah, and
21-3.
We basically Atlanta Falcons that one, and it's just we were moral victory you because hey, at least we showed up against a power conference school, but we never won the big one. And 2013 looked like it was going to be the same thing. We screwed up against South Carolina in a very winnable game, and fast forward a few years, perfection. Never would have imagined to see perfection.
Yeah, Bryson was right. I feel like this was the game when everyone's like, "Oh man, okay, this UCF team is for real."
Oh, totally. I mean, even
nationally, this is when people suddenly sat up and said, "Okay, East Division champs." I would have loved to have known what Frost and Flowers said at the end of that. Did you see that?
Well,
I'll see you in Lincoln.
Frost post game gave him a lot of dap and just said how great of a player he is, and also Quentin Flowers, overlooking the lewd gesture in the middle that I know Jeff wants to get caught up on. He's a story of perseverance. I mean, this kid's had a really tough life and a lot of just horribly tragic luck, so Frost, I think, was really complimentary of him after this game. Not talking about just the player, but also the person.
I mean,
we have an Eric Lopez cameo here coming in a little bit.
Better late than never, I guess.
There's Bianchi right there.
Yeah. I could not get out there. I could not get out there because my wheelchair is not all terrain. Sorry.
I think what's crazy about this though is
look on the right side of your screen.
The left to the right.
To the right side, right over Frost's left shoulder. You'll see Elo pop by here in a second.
Oh, that's what you meant by cameo?
Yeah, he's not on the call here. There he is.
There he is. Hey! There's Elo.
Eric Lopez finally showed up for this.
Proof that Elo's there.
He finally showed up.
He's like,
yeah, Andy Seeley getting some camera time.
Andy Seeley is a ninja. That guy was everywhere. He's everywhere.
How about ESPN sticking with the post game here? By the way, normally they bump out of this to the next game, and obviously it was Black Friday, and there's other games on, but they stuck around for the post game interviews and everything that they had going on after.
They didn't have a primetime ABC game for Black Friday. They normally don't, and that's why that 3:30 slot is so valuable.
Yeah,
and also this game was fantastic. You can't just bump out of it. Also, they had to ask Frost about all the rumors, because people really cared about that at this point. So that was so when the post game was held because they wanted to ask Frost about Nebraska and all the rumors, and he said, I think on the field in that post game, he said, we don't even think about it. I owe these players who are giving me their 100%, and that's what I'm giving them. I'm going to keep giving it to them too.
There's my man Alex Ward.
Could you imagine if Frost was like, "Yes, I'm going to Nebraska."
Going to Nebraska.
Oh God, that would have deflated everything.
We just won this game, and all this. How do you feel? I'm going to Nebraska. I'll see y'all later.
Peace. I'm out.
Also, well, that didn't happen until next week.
Right? Yeah, I remember that.
That was wild.
What was funny about also Frost after this game, someone asked him, if someone had told you that you'd be 11-0 and undefeated champions at this point, like what would you say? And he said, well, one, I would ask you where the 12th game went, because remember we had the hurricane that wiped out the game, yeah. And then he goes, and two, I would say you're crazy, and he admitted there's no way he thought this was possible. And players, some of them said that they thought it was possible, but come on. No one is going to think that this team that went 6-7, 0-12 to 6-7 is going to go 11-0 and obviously down to 13-0.
Well, I remember, at the start of the year we were thinking, something if Milton improves, we see some improvement based on from one year to the next that we were expecting. UCF should be contend for the division.
Yeah.
You know? And we were thinking best case scenario, it might come down to the war on I-4. Hey, we got it at home. You know, there's a possibility for it. I didn't think nowhere in my right mind, at least at that time, did I think we could go undefeated. And you know, I really thought that it could be a special year kind of after that Memphis game, you know, when we blew them out at home. And even though Memphis was banged up, you know, I thought, okay, there's something cooking here that looks really sharp because the offense is too good right now. I mean, they can score on anybody. And the defense is kind of doing just enough. Remember, the defense was playing really well through the first portion of the season. Then when the hurricane happened, and I think everyone kind of forgets this, is UCF kind of had their bye week scotched that year because that team was tired.
Well, they played 10 straight games to end the year.
Well, let me see if I can pull it up here because that's the wrong window. That's my others. Let's see here. Let me see if I can.
And I know on the interwebs, a lot of people poo-poo. Oh, they didn't play anyone. Blah blah blah. You play 10 straight games in a row, you're gonna be tired. Even the best teams have strategically placed bye weeks somewhere in the season. You know, October. You know, early November, somewhere to give them a little break. There was no break. That's why they gave up quite a bit of points against Austin Peay. Is these guys were tired. You're absolutely right. As the season wore on, they gave up more and more points. They were just worn down. I mean, you couldn't blame them.
Yeah. I was trying to pull it up a second ago, and for some reason I couldn't. But UCF played their opener against FIU on August the 31st, and then didn't play again until September 23rd. That was the Maryland game at College Park. From there on, they played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 consecutive games. So you combine that offense, that high-octane offense, with the defense being on the field as much as they were, that defense was exhausted at the end of the season. And you could kind of see it in the SMU game. You sort of saw it in that. Remember the Austin Peay game? They gave up 33 points. Even though we scored 73, it was like, ugh.
The defense
gave up 33 at home against Austin Peay. Yeah.
Well, you look at it. They gave up 24 to UConn, and then obviously the Memphis game the following week, where they were just dialed in.
And also, and this was I thought was the other thing too. So combine that with the fact that it was also a short week because they played at Temple on Saturday, coming back home from being on the road, and a 6-day week to prepare for USF, a team that was 9-1 coming in. And I mean, they were tired. They were tired as hell. And that stretch where the defense gave up 97 points in 8 days, but won both the games. So, I mean, when we look back on this, and I think Anthony had to go, but let me pull up the schedule. So let me show it to you here. So So think about that. August 31st, basically 2 bye weeks after that, right? Because that opener was on a Thursday. And then 10 straight. Maryland, home for Memphis, at Cincy. That was the 3-quarter game, remember?
Yeah, they got a quarter off. Don't tell me they didn't get a bye, Jeffrey. They got a quarter off at Cincy.
Okay. So they played 9 3/4 consecutive games.
That's right. Get your facts straight.
The blowout against ECU. That Navy game was a street fight. I don't care what anybody says. That was a tough football game.
Navy is such a tough team to plan for. They really are.
Yeah. And that was actually a Scott Frost special. Remember, he was telling them all about. He spent the whole week with the defense on. He was running the option himself, the triple O.
Yeah.
As
I remember
the
that.
scout team quarterback. Still, I mean, that was on SportsCenter. Remember all that?
Yep. Yep.
Frost is running around out there in shorts, a t-shirt, and a helmet.
I don't know how many quarterbacks. None of them could play scout team quarterback that week. It had to be Scott Frost.
Yeah.
It's probably midterm or something.
There was the Austin P game, which was that was one of the weirdest football games I've ever seen. When I think
Shaquem Griffin's first ever touchdown, I believe.
Yeah, on the pick six.
Yeah,
when he broke the tape. Remember, he broke the tape.
The tape. Yeah, it wasn't a long return. It wasn't a long return, but it didn't matter. He broke it.
The game at SMU, that was the
Baby Watch. Baby Watch 2017.
Yep, the Baby Watch game. UConn, when we just jumped all over them in the first quarter, and then kind of let the foot off the gas a little bit, and then the fourth quarter just kind of blew them out.
Yeah, I have no recollection of that game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just that was probably about the last time. That was, I think that game at the time was peak UConn probably.
I'd like to point out that the listed attendance was under 30,000 for that game. It took a while, and basically all of 17 until you got to the war was pretty much not very exciting attendance wise. It wasn't until the following year when things really picked up.
I think P game was 27, but that was a late scheduled game. ECU was 40.
But and ECU, if you go on Wikipedia, ECU is classified as a rival. We've had some rough games with them, and of course, after Hale Perryman, they're always going to be viewed in a special light.
The Memphis game was only 34.
Well, I remember coming into this game. I remember coming into the USF game. Somebody asked Aaron Evans about what does it mean to have home field advantage for this game against USF, and he goes, "Well, it's only a home field advantage if the fans show up." Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
He'll be there.
That was a little David Justice, right?
Yeah.
That's a cold statement to say, but you're not wrong. I was at
they showed up.
The 2014 UCF-USF game in Tampa, where there were more Knight fans in the stand than Bulls fans. There was no home field in Tampa for USF that game.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't recall really they haven't really had a home field advantage. Not since after that period of time when they beat Florida State. And
it was a lifetime ago.
That was the last time.
Miami.
Really.
They beat Miami. They thought they were part of the Big Four now, and then the wheels came off, and it's like, who are you again?
It really is a shame because they squandered such a tremendous lead, and now I think that if you look around college football and you ask not just and you ask the folks who are in charge, and you think who are the really big schools? Who are the schools that are, if there's, movement around the conferences, who are they looking at? It used to be that, the only way UCF could move up some way would be as if it was a package deal with USF. Now it's the other way around.
Yeah, no, UCF.
I think conferences know. Yeah. I think that the business people of college football know that UCF is a revenue driver, and USF just does not.
Yeah. The paradigm shifted. It's no longer just about how many TV sets you have in your market, because with all the cord cutters, that number doesn't matter like it used to. Now it's about brand value. How much does your value bring to the conference? And that's where it's no longer a package deal, and UCF has a lot more value on its own. And that's why they did the whole dog and pony show with the Big 12 and end up going nowhere, is because we love the Knights and all, but they're not worth $20 million a year. And that there's no school worth $20 million a year that's available. And that's what the Big 12 realized. And ESPN said, you know what, we'll give you a couple extra dollars to not bark up this tree anymore.
Yeah. I want to look back real quick at the final stats from this game because they're really something. I mean, 50 59 total first downs, 1,186 yards of total offense.
A lot of yards.
500 yards of passing. 500 passing yards.
Yeah, 168 total plays. Both teams had 84 plays in this game. Quentin Flowers accounted for, was it 604?
Yeah, something like that.
600. I think it was 604 of USF's 653 total yards. 503. Yeah, 503 and 102. So he was 605.
Yeah.
So 605 of their 653 total yards.
How about the fact that Tyree McCants ended up at 227 after he had 210 with about 4:10 to go in the first half?
Yeah, well, I mean, Shenander got the message and put somebody on that guy, you know.
And all that meant was that that extra guy they weren't putting on McCants forgot to then they put an extra guy on McCants and then they didn't have a guy to actually spy or stop Flowers in the second half.
This is a total nerd stat, but
UCF had the problem.
Sorry, again, go ahead.
I was going to say UCF. They had the problem in 17. They had the problem again in 18, where we have power linebackers. We don't have speed linebackers, and that really came back to haunt them in the second half. I mean, Pat Jasinski's a great player. He's not a fast player, and that's why he was always in. Is because there was really no one else they could put in to keep up with a guy like Flowers.
Yeah, I mean the only guy was Shaquem, but
and he
Flowers
was on the
is
edge.
that much faster. Yeah, and he's an edge guy. This is kind of a nerd stat, but I'm kind of perplexed at the fact that there were 11 total punts in this game. Didn't feel like it was that many.
UCF's offense went dormant in the second quarter.
Right. Third down, was it again the hilarious stat that they showed, which was USF averaged like 9.9 yards to go on third down, and they were still over pretty close to 50% on third downs throughout the game. UCF had the only 3 sacks in the game.
7 extra points.
Yeah. Time possession was even. We'll go to the turnovers, right? Each team had a pick, and that was it. Well, each team had a pick, and then there was the fumble at the end. Yeah, one fumble lost. So, I mean, still to this day is an amazing game in UCF history. All right, for the 9 of you who are still watching, and the 4 who are in on this chat. All right, those of you who are still in. I want you guys to hit us up in the chat and tell us which game we should watch next. And by the way, we're taking in basketball options. Okay. If you want to see a basketball game, we'll do that. But it's got to be a full game if it's on YouTube. I got a couple of ideas that we might do. And I want to see if we can really go back on a couple of these. Somebody
Dexter
sent me
Let's get some Dexter.
Somebody said, I wish we had a full game from that era. I wish we had the 03 A-Sun championship against Troy.
Yeah.
Or no, the 04
University.
The 04 at Belmont against Troy when we finally beat Troy and went to the dance. I thought I had that one. It turns out I don't. I'm so sad.
A fun basketball one that I don't think a lot of people would recognize, and I don't think that the full game would be online, would be the Illinois game.
You know, the Illinois game, yeah. The Zach McElroy, the game, the regular season game at Memphis, the 31-30 game. Yeah, that would be a good one to do. I want to do the Louisville game.
That was a fun game
from 2013. That was a good football game. I want to do the 2013, the Louisville game, and I would do the Temple game, but we don't have the full. No one has the full. Yeah, Bryson just said it, the 2013 Temple game, and then the Fiesta Bowl.
If we want to throw in some basketball, if it's available, man, 2007 versus Tulsa, the triple overtime opener for the arena.
Oh man, that would have been a good one too. Yeah.
Ooh,
That was
what
about-
about this year's Cincinnati game? Tony Johnson's coming out party.
The well, that's the issue is the full game isn't up there.
Yeah.
Tony Johnson.
So yeah, I'm kind of bummed about that. Anthony had to peace out, so he sends his regards. Those of you who are still watching, send us your recommendations. So as we wrap it up here, it's 11 o'clock Eastern time. Send them to us on Twitter. You can follow us at UCF_Banneret. If you're on Facebook, if you prefer that, send it to it at facebook.com/blackandgoldbanneret as well. And don't forget also to follow us at blackandgoldbanneret.com. Brian Murphy can be followed at spokes_Murphy. Jeremy is at Jeremy Brenner. Is that right?
That's it. That's the one.
And Andrew's at Statboy Drew. Right?
Yes.
I have that right. Okay.
That is correct.
And then I am at Jeff_Sharon. You can follow us for all your UCF needs. I'm gonna have the first NFL draft scouting profile out tomorrow, boys.
Woo!
Ooh.
We're doing Adrian Killens first.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Mhm.
Adrian Killens
The
first.
sooner that's out there, the better.
Yeah. Trying to get it out there. So, thanks to everybody who was watching on this. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I really enjoyed it. It was an absolute blast. I hope we'll get the chance to do it again. Brian, Andrew, Jeremy, and Anthony, thank you guys so much again for doing this the first time. And my hope, guys, if you're listening, spread the word, because I would love to get a player from one of these teams to join us.
Yes.
One of these rewinds. That would be fun.
Yes.
Oh,
That would be a lot of
we
fun.
could probably pull it off.
So we are social distancing. Yes, we are, Bryson. But we also, everybody continue to stay safe out there. Continue to follow the guidelines, and we'll be here with you for everything. So for Jeremy and Brian, Drew and Anthony, I'm Jeff. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Go Knights and charge on.